Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to check out Super Eyepatch Wolf, the Unreality of Pro Wrestling, also known as the story of how Roman Reigns became the most hated wrestler because he cannot act to save his life. And when they put it up there, it looked like he was enjoying being choked out, and I'm sure there's an audience for that, but so I'm going to just jump right in, see where this is going, and see what a Super Eyepatch Wolf is going to show me, which is definitely going to be happy and uplifting and not showing how a guy who seems like an actual real swell dude ends up walking into abject failure in the most humiliating, embarrassing way possible. Yeah. You guys know how it works. Link below video. Hit it up. Let's get started.
What does it look like when a singles wrestling persona is carved from something sincere, human?
Because Reigns was basically, here's a corporate mock-up of what you should like.
Wrestler Rami Sebel was booked as an enhancement talent for a promotion called Internet Wrestling Scene.
Wait, what does that say there? This is not that match. As far as I can tell, footage from that match does not exist. Oh, okay.
Enhancement talent, which often go by their slightly less politically correct name, jobbers, are wrestlers tasked with, well, getting the piss kicked out of them to make other wrestlers look strong. But
oh, so basically where the heel is the person who's the villain, the face has to work towards to beat. A jobber is the person who's there to get the shit kicked out of them and then sell that they're so much weaker. And this look at this guy, he's so strong. It actually makes sense because it's the equivalent of a red shirt. The hero can't lose to the red shirt. You have to have all the heroes beat them and effortlessly to show their power, which would also be true for the heels, because if a heel lost to a red shirt, that would be like, what the fuck? Also, yes, I am using Star Trek terminology when talking about wrestling. I realize having said it, it's weird. Almost as weird as the fact that I can't think of a better way to describe it, because that does seem to fit the best.
This was a problem for Sebel. He didn't want his current gimmick, Stevie McFly, to lose credit.
Everything about this image pains me. I just, the more I look, the more I'm like, oh, I know people like this. I remember this. This is so offensively 90s. And I do mean offensive because it wasn't unironic when you did it initially. It was just, well, unironic, actually. Never mind. It was exactly what I said. It was unironic. People did this like, yeah, dude, this is what's cool. Oh God, I need to move on. I need to move on. This is no.
Credibility. How Stevie McFly ever had credibility to begin with, I don't know.
It's
so
still
instead,
on the screen.
He donned a mask and wrestled under the pseudonym of Generic Luchador. However,
was that guy? Oh no, he's in a tan-colored suit. I thought he was naked on there for a second. I was like, okay, we're going classic Greek wrestling. That would be very different. Also, his name is Generic Wrestler. As his alternate persona, actually considering his previous one, this is actually a step up.
Over the course of the match, something started to happen. The crowd started to get behind.
Oh, that was... I just noticed, I thought he was being thrown, but that's... You can actually see where he jumped off with it. So it looked like this guy was really strong, but he played into it. Dude, this guy's good at selling.
Generic Luchador. And as they did, a persona started to emerge.
It's like he's doing everything so over the top, but there's a lot of motion.
Regularly get his head punched out through his ass, but would keep going.
Dude.
Over time, the Generic Luchador would become beloved.
I wonder where this guy ended up.
Changing his name to El Generico. With a natural, ultra-likable charisma,
from the generic wrestler to the generic.
Ass off, watching Generico perform was seeing someone who just really loved the.
Okay, this might just sound weird, but considering all the clips I saw of Reigns and it's felt stiff, like he's not sure how to move. This guy is incredibly fluid. I'm like, not entirely sure if I should describe him as Laffy Taffy that's been warmed up in a bowl to the point where it's basically liquid, but slightly starting to congeal to the point where if you touch it, you feel like the ball might come away with you, but also you can then use it as a lasso to throw things against the wall. Okay, maybe that's a little bit of an example that's a little too leading, but also try it once, never do it again, but it's really damn fun up until someone walks in and they see the mess you made and how there's red taffy on the wall that looks like someone had the worst bloodbath in the world and just happen to splatter it there. And then they get even more pissed when they realize it's not, so they're not screaming anymore. So they're both angry at you and also really angry because they thought someone died, but also they needed to hide the body, but you didn't actually have a body to hide, so they're going to have to make one of you, and you have to run. I'm not projecting about this at all.
Art of wrestling. There was an electricity to Generico's matches. He didn't win a lot, or
She just kicked him in the face. She kicked him in the face.
It didn't matter. Fans adored him, becoming massively popular in Ring of Honor, where he'd meet his lifelong best friend and soulmate, Kevin Steen. The two together.
Oh, I know this. It's a Super Eyepatch video. One of them's going to betray each other. We're focusing on Generico, so did he have like a heel turn and betray his friend or something?
Sharing their pure love of wrestling and even capturing the ROH tag titles.
ROH?
With a connection that felt real again because it was. The two men being best men at each other's wedding.
Oh shit, this is outside of work, friend.
They were inseparable.
Wait for it. Oh, okay, I guess it was the other guy.
I mean, come on, you've seen me do these videos enough now. You knew where that was going. Kevin saw in
let's pretend I got it right.
He hated most. Weakness. Was he really going to spend the rest of his life letting his good-natured love of wrestling trap him in smoke-filled bingo halls performing in front of crowds of 50?
Oh, so this isn't like a major group. This is more like paid access TV recorded what was basically the local scene. I mean, admittedly, it's still pretty good, and he's a really good wrestler just from what I've seen.
No, he had
the athleticism there.
Generico was a cancer he needed to cut out of himself, starting a lengthy war between the two that was kind of tragic. The audience's heart breaking over and over and over again for Generico, who was barely able to bring himself to hurt his former friends, until finally Steen drove him to that place. Generico becoming Ring of Honor's last hope.
Oh, I was wondering, like, okay, they're playing around with this, or like, no, that look there, and then that's like, okay, and then right here where you see a bend, I'm like, that's not where the bend was at. Ooh. One, he's a big boy. Two, I am a bigger boy than that, and I would not bend that thing. So either these are very weak, or, you know, there's really no or. I'm just hoping they're really weak, because if these are well made, that guy is going to have hospital bills. Oh. The only thing I can think is he managed to land right across the back, so the impact is spread out, and then the shockwave being interpreted into this mean it didn't hit him nearly so hard. So it was like, it's a hard surface, but it's a hard surface that moved under you because the ring is bouncy and the ropes are somewhat bouncy. But honestly, I'm still looking at that going, it doesn't really matter at that point because there was still enough force to bend metal. And we saw them hold up to other ones, so unless this is like the trick one, I'm just gonna go with my previous statement. And leave it at that because that looks bad.
Ring of Honor's last hope against the maniacal and dominant champion Steen had become.
And then it just bent through him
Day came
all the way.
Two bitter rivals.
I just realized he had a beard now. It actually looks a lot better.
Faced each other one final time. But it wasn't a match. See, at this point, Generico had been signed by a much larger wrestling promotion.
Oh.
Meaning their
he got signed somewhere else.
Their friendship, everything that happened between them was at an end. And just listen to how Kevin phrases this in his promo.
He walked back. He's going to attack him or... Oh! Okay, I legitimately thought for a second that this was a matter of, okay, he's storming off, he's doing the bit, he's going to come, he's coming back, he's going to do something, so he's going to hit him with the... Oh, it's actually a hug. It's like what happened with the screw job was set up with the guys breaking the Kafrobic, I can't speak to that. I know the word, I just forget it every time I try and say it. The illusion that it's all real, and came out, said all this stuff about how they loved each other and hugged, and then here is the exact same thing, but the audience is eating it up because... dropping the act to hug his friend, who was the best man at his wedding. Damn. That's nice. And, you know, happy that it wasn't actually just some more dickishness like hitting him.
Wherever you're going, whatever happens to you, please know I would be nothing without you. Thank you.
What I love about this moment is whether you view it as the end of two enemies whose hatred for each other pushed them both to greater heights, or just two real-life best friends saying goodbye, not knowing if they'll ever be able to wrestle again.
Probably the second one, now that I think about it. Yeah, if he's actually doing professional in a completely different location, that's just a time issue, man. Damn.
It works perfectly. It's real either way.
Second one probably hurts more because
Unreality of
the act
wrestling
is only half there.
This is the kind of moments it can create.
You know, considering how upbeat, technically upbeat, this all is, it's like, here's a real persona with a real drama, and you can see the characters are invested. It's like the reverse of what we saw with Reigns prior to this, where it's like, hey, here's a bunch of guys who are real friends. Here's a bunch of guys who really like each other, and they're going to do the scripted breakup and the fighting and all that, except Reigns really should have taken acting lessons.
That right there is what it feels like.
Physical
when
acting,
a wrestler
especially.
organically gets over with an audience when they perform from a real emotion.
He doesn't have to
place
win.
and
He just
the
has to be,
audience
you know,
connects with
believable.
that. But by 2015, this was not what was happening with.
Also, seriously, his hair, do they like pre-oil it? Because that can't just be water. They had to like legitimately put an entire bottle of something in there. This is like a significant tab of baby lotion or something. What the hell is up with that?
Roman Reigns. Every week, Roman's
they
weaknesses
also oiled
were
his
becoming
arms.
a little more obvious. Every week, those crowd reactions would grow a little more tepid. And every week, a steady underchorus of boos would make its way more and more into the opening notes of Roman's theme music. Signs like Roman Reigns likes Nickelback saying more.
I know the joke is that Nickelback is bad, but other than just being generic and they kind of never play anything but the same song over and over again, even when they make new songs, they have a distinct sound, and it has not changed in... I actually have no idea if they're even still around, so it could be days, years, or decades for all I know, and I wouldn't be able to tell.
More about how he
generic.
was now being received by the crowd.
And that's how he's received. They know it's the
Fit
one you like
into a
because it's
single
easy.
paragraph. And what was happening here was more interesting and bizarre than just a wrestler failing to get over. It was the fictional reality of WWE separating from the experienced reality of its audience.
Because everyone says he's strong.
Roman was this big, cool, invincible superhero.
But
that's how he was presented in his matches. That's how he was talked about on commentary.
But having witnessed him not being able to sell it, it's very much a case of, hey, look at this pile of shit. We know it's a pile of shit. It's a diamond. Pay us. I remember in a previous video, and hell, I think earlier in this one, there was something about booing. Maybe I'm misremembering.
But in reality, a
there was
very
booing just mentioned
different
now.
narrative was starting to form. That Roman Reigns as the face of the company was not working. That he was being rejected by the audience.
Read this in Forbes?
That WWE
Why there?
had chosen wrong. And it was hard not to agree with that.
Yeah.
Dean Ambrose was now embracing his pre-WWE Jon Moxley persona and getting white-hot, organic crowd reactions. And Seth was killing it as a conniving heel, even winning the Money in the Bank ladder match, which would allow him to cash in a
Ladder match? Like the one we saw before where they're just throwing everyone on ladders? Because that seemed like something you can get away with outside of big time, because I'm pretty sure there's OSHA violations in that one. I'm assuming I'm misremembering it, though. It has to be something different. No, wait, misremembering would imply I remember in the first place. This is something I have no idea about.
briefcase for a WWE title shot at any time, even during other matches.
Oh, did he like interrupt something?
That become relevant?
Oh yeah, he
WWE
definitely interrupted
needed
something.
to get momentum.
I'm assuming
back
they set him up or
behind
something?
Roman Reigns,
Yeah.
which would bring us to one night.
Royal
a
Rumble?
night that would see the constructed reality of WWE's story and the actual reality experienced by its audience rip apart completely.
Okay, I just want to take a wild guess here. They had him fight someone the crowd loved, And they're basically going to root for the heel. Reigns wins. And they're just going to lose it on him or something.
Completely. January 25th, 2015. The Royal Rumble.
Oh, it's a bunch of people fighting. Oh, that's not.
30 wrestlers
Guess I'm wrong.
enter the ring at timed intervals. And
how many? Oh, 30 at timed intervals. So it's literally tag team performances. That's actually impressive in its own right.
They're eliminated by being tossed over the top rope, the winner of which goes on to fight the champion in the main event of WrestleMania. Meaning, the Royal Rumble is in theory the most fun night of the wrestling calendar.
It's just
adored by.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The Royal Rumble is in theory the most fun.
Yeah. Go back to the calendar. There's a guy in a bull costume, including the butt tail. And he's just being held off by the guy going, no. I don't what? And of course, there's the back guy. He's just hamming it up so much. This is very much the matter of I'm having fun here and just pretending that it's all over. I'm about to die horribly. Send love to my family. The ham.
Adored by fans for its absolutely wild storytelling and potential to crown new stars in a single night. Which
did he just die on there?
But WWE management hadn't considered two things. One was the steady but building fan backlash against Roman.
Oh, because they were ignoring
the
it
other
probably.
Was Daniel Bryan.
Oh?
Take everything I said about LGBT.
Oh yeah, I remember people. I saw this guy was there. It's like, wow, he looks like the hobo wrestler. I will stick by that on the beard. Seems like a cool guy, though.
Generico and multiply it by a factor of, probably one, honestly.
Oh,
an ultra-likable, battle-hardened indie wrestling gnome who could bring you to tears with the...
Wait, that's the... So we have him right now with the beard, and then him without the beard. He looks more serious without it, but he looks way more distinct with it. I kind of think I like the hobo look better. Never thought I'd say that.
Here's with the emotion and passion he brought to every match. Bryan was...
Oh, did they have him go against Reigns and it was a really bad fight? Oh, so it's the crowd favorite versus the one that the management thinks should be the favorite. That's not going to be a kick in the ass.
So beloved by fans that WWE was forced to change the main event of the previous year's WrestleMania.
Oh, shit.
Because of how passionately the audience had gotten.
They actually changed it?
Only for Bryan to then tragically have to drop the title and step away from wrestling.
Wait, what?
Due to a career-threatening neck injury, which put him out of action for 9 months. This match right here.
Oh, shit. Yeah, you don't fuck with neck injuries, man. Those can really fuck you up because it's bad, but because you always move it, it can get damaged really easily and make it worse. Oh, and that's in wrestling where you're doing nothing but moving. So, I mean, if you have a neck injury bad enough or likely to get bad enough, you just don't move your neck. You put yourself in a bind, not because you can't move your neck, but because you shouldn't. If he had one in this job, that's almost... What, did he come back for like one last event or something?
To be his glorious comeback. A fairy tale ending for a beloved crowd darling.
Oh.
Wait, no. What are you doing? What? WWE, no. No, don't do this. No!
They just knocked him out before it's even the...
Yeah. The crowd goes numb and then apoplectic, turning...
Because the narrative is not what they wanted. In fact, it's actively the worst. They took the narrative that was good, a return from someone who literally came over IRL, non-work related injury. It probably was work related, but still. Freaking neck trauma. Came back and they kicked him out. It's not even Reigns doing it, so it's not like he even earned the hatred. Now I'm kind of curious what happened.
On every other wrestler in the match, and when Roman's music hits just 10 minutes later, you could hear the piss boiling through.
Oh, that's what they were trying to do. So they weren't trying to build him up or to make Reigns beat him. This is the revenge arc that Reigns would have been able to accomplish for him. Because he's coming back and they want him to win. So they knew the audience would get mad, and they knew they would really hate the people in there. But they thought beating them would make Reigns look good, except it sounds like they're just mad because the audience realized they're just trying to make Reigns look good by kicking out the guy they liked. It's an obvious setup. Unfortunately, it's too obvious. Oh.
The arena.
Oh, even I can hear the boos.
The combination of having their beloved underdog rejected in place of what they now saw as an artificial, corporately appointed champion, the crowd is brought to their frothing, quivering limit.
Can I, Super Eyepatch Wolf, what was that you just said?
The crowd is brought to their frothing, quivering limit.
You know, I was going to make a joke about how that's a very specific choice of words right there. That might not mean what you think it means. But I realized we're watching a bunch of oily men just smack each other in physical altercations in front of an audience, shouting their names, screaming at the musk and the scent of body sweat. I have no idea what this could possibly mean. It's completely beyond me. I have no idea whatsoever.
A reaction that would haunt Roman for the entire rest of the match. It didn't matter who he eliminated or what he did. The cries of the audience were absolutely corrosive.
Big Show's body wants to earn his own. He wants to do it tonight at the...
Was he actually... Oh yeah, his lip is bleeding, so he took actual pain here. It's obvious he's not selling it as much other than just leaving his mouth open. Either way, it does build him up as someone who's actually in danger, but at the same time... Yeah, I think I had the right idea. I mean, the fifth idea I had was probably the right one. They were trying to make him look good by beating the villains, but the audience has figured out they're just trying to make him look good again.
Look! Big Show, I think he was trying...
Oh, holy shit. That is not hating a guy. This is actively something they don't want to hear. I'm actually surprised they continue to show this, because that is putting on TV the audience asking for their money back. If there is one thing you as a company do not want, admittedly the first one would be antipathy, because not getting any reaction at all is worse than any possible reaction because it isn't one. The second would be losing money and having it broadcast, I'm assuming semi-live or pay-per-view, which would be even worse if it was pay-per-view, because then it's people who also might ask for refunds because they hate it. They probably won't get them, but there were probably people in an office getting fired or yelled at, probably both, because anger at the talent is one thing. Not wanting to pay the company, that is worse.
To the point that when he topples his final opponent over the top rope in a deeply predictable Reigns wins lol fashion, boos melt the arena.
And you can just see him. They brought the Rock in?
17,000 furious cries crashing down on Roman Reigns.
And that doesn't even look like a guy who's playing into it. This is not him acting, because we've seen that he can't. This is just despair. Which also means that when he actually looks like he's this despairing, it's probably not an act, because we've seen his, let's go with ability. If it looks real, it is. So, damn.
And you can see the shock in his eyes as the crowd's reaction punches down through the fictional persona and into the actual person of Joe Anoa'i.
Shit, man. I'm sorry, just that face right there.
And into the
it's actually hard to look at that. I'm doing it because I'm a horrible person, but that is, I don't think this is shock. I think this is just overwhelming despair. It's like, hey, that thing I've devoted my life to and I'm trying so hard at, I suck at it and everyone else hates me for it. If he continues wrestling after this, I kind of respect him. Not for his ability, but for the sheer perseverance, because this This is a gut punch and a dick punch and a foot punch and a leg punch and the knee punch and the back side of the knee punch and then the front side of the knee punch. Maybe just a few other things until you can kind of kneecap yourself and they just fall off out of sheer trauma punch. Ow.
Actual person of Joe Anoa'i. A man expecting the greatest moment of his life and
You
then
can see him
colliding
cheering
with
and
the most monumental rejection the industry had ever seen. Even an appearance by Reigns' cousin The Rock
Wait, what?
cannot.
His cousin is The Rock. His cousin is The Rock. How did I just... I get what they're trying to do. They scripted to bring in a very famous wrestler to anoint him. But that just... I see why they wanted to push him, because he had all the hallmarks of everyone else. And they had someone else in family who was good at what they did, but just...
not quell the rage of the audience. And
oh, that's the face of... Wait, what's going on? And him... This is someone trying to act happy, and since we've seen his acting ability, it's not coming through.
just look at the expression on The Rock's face. Kind of says it all, really. But regardless, the path was charted.
Yeah, it's not even just that moment of realization. It's not just the face. It's this right here where he's just like, oh, yeah, we're going to hear about this next family get it together. Ooh, I'm just going to walk away. I'm not saying I made this face, but if you've ever been to an awkward Thanksgiving, you know this face. You have seen this face. And in my case, I have inspired this face multiple times, usually outside of it and during it. I'm very awkward. I realize that. But yeah, I know this face.
The path was charted. Roman Reigns was going to be the main event of WrestleMania, and the crowd fucking hated it. March 29th, 2015. The main event of WrestleMania.
Admittedly, I thought that entire chair thing would be right at the end there. Maybe they just brought the guy in to beat him over the head to steal the win at the end, but it seemed like that wasn't what that was scripted for.
Roman Reigns enters to a chorus of ghostly wails that follow and hound him to the ring. To everyone watching, Roman Reigns' victory was a certainty given how he'd been pushed and protected to get here. One small caveat being the man he was facing, the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar.
Okay, I just need to ask, was his entire characterization basically just Ivan Dragovich from Rocky? Because he looks like that guy, but slightly bulkier. I only say that because I think he might be shorter, so it's just more compact muscle, but maybe the same amount or even more. It's hard to tell because I can't really tell where his torso begins and his pecs start. It's just, there's just like one lump of muscle here. It's actually impressive and terrifying.
The most believable, legitimate champion WWE has ever seen. Terrifying in ring, but outside it, he had his advocate, Paul Heyman, one of the most compelling talkers in the entire industry.
Wait,
Getting
what?
the right manager with the right talent can give them the final 10% that push.
Eat, sleep, break the streak. Oh, so that probably had to do something with, yeah, the Undertaker. Unless there was a different streak. Maybe a streak of Roman Reigns disappointing the fans by winning. That would be a different thing. But if Reigns is so bad at the public speaking part, I mean, yeah, he's also bad in the ring with the selling part, but at least they could take care of one of them by getting him a manager who would take the things for him. Hell, he could even default back to his silent, tough persona that he was better at. Why didn't they? Because they wanted a face, not someone to have a persona. Which admittedly would be its own persona, but they wanted him to stand on his own 2 feet because someone else was already doing that, probably. Damn.
Pushes them into greatness. I mean, take someone like Simon Miller.
Who?
A great wrestler.
Is that tape on him?
Beloved by fans. But can you imagine if someone could give
Coliseum?
Simon that last 10%? If someone could bring out
Hey, am I supposed to know this guy?
him so that people actually saw him as more.
Seriously, why is he just randomly have tape on him? I thought that was like some kind of weird tie at first, but no, I think it's tape.
Than just a novelty YouTube act.
You...
Wouldn't that be...
Okay. Okay, one novelty YouTube act. So, oh, is this entire wrestling straight to YouTube? Also, yeah, because Super Eyepatch Wolf does wrestling on the side as this over-the-top version of himself who's... Let's go with weird. And I remember my entire impression of him. He's basically Jake Paul, but with way less baggage. And yeah, I remember that now. He's like less Jake Paul. Why I can't speak today. Less a Jake Paul and more a if the Jake Paul brothers were only douchebags as opposed to potentially criminal in some cases with some of the scams they pulled. Or is that Logan Paul? Honestly, I can never get them straight.
Something. Oh, I'm sorry. I've gotten a little lost here, haven't I? Across from the combination of Lesnar and Heyman, Roman felt less legitimate, less believable than he ever had, and the idea that
so they script Roman to finally
be the guy to dethrone the Beast, well, that was not a reality anyone wanted to accept, and you could hear that from the audience.
Roman Reigns!
I'm sure they're all just going to love this. Oh yeah, you can hear the boos. You can hear the boos. They are not small. I thought it's like maybe it's a little booing, a little cheering. No, it's just all boos.
In fairness, I actually love this match, and Roman is great in it. If you watched it on mute, you could experience this kind of awesome and tragic underdog story as this valiant young hero battles upward against the hopeless inevitability of Brock Lesnar.
Admittedly, this is more selling than I think I've seen him do. Although I don't really know if it's selling or he's actually being thrown so hard by this guy, because look at all that muscle, he could definitely do it, that he doesn't need to sell it. He's actually getting the shit beat out of him. You know, whatever works. Maybe they just needed to actually beat Roman Reigns down into a bloody pulp so he doesn't have to sell it. He's actually getting murderized.
But sound on, and you get a very different story. Any slight moments of hope or offense from Roman collide with a chorus of overwhelming boos. The near 100,000 people in attendance burst.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to just revisit my previous statement. Roman Reigns is still not selling well, but he also isn't doing that because look at that throw they did. Wait for it. Here, this one. He's throwing him over the side, which is in its own right. He's picking up a guy and spinning him around.
In attendance.
And then he just kept sliding off. That is not strength. That is, I'm going to throw a man backwards and he's going to go distance. Normally the question is, I can trust you as far as I can throw you. It's supposed to be, I can't throw you very far. As opposed to, I can actually throw a bitch really far, because Roman Reigns is not a small man. That is actually impressive, unless these are all oiled, but I don't think they oil these things. Unless they do, in which case, very different fight.
Bursting into gleeful...
Also, I just realized, considering how much oil's on him, by the end of it, it probably does count as oiled.
...delight each time Roman is slammed to the mat. And it is surreal, like watching some bizarre alternate reality where the monster is cheered and the underdog hated.
So, Shrek? Isn't that basically just Shrek?
But this was not the only strange thing that would happen tonight. As the match entered its closing moments, Seth Rollins' music hit and he cashes in his Money in the Bank briefcase, pinning Roman and stealing...
Wait, did the fight not actually end yet? So not only did Brock Lesnar not get beaten or win, they had this guy come in for a... I'm assuming he's given him a colon exam? Let's go with that.
The WWE Championship in the heist of the century. And in story, this was a fucking incredible moment.
I'm assuming they were all cheering for him and he didn't know what to do with it. Also, why is there a play button behind him? I don't think these are on YouTube.
But in reality, there's one very curious detail about it. According to Seth, he was only told this was happening this same day, just a couple of hours prior, after his own WrestleMania.
Oh, he was actually fighting already.
Which he lost. And this could have been to keep the swerve a secret, or a sign of WWE slamming the brakes on Roman Reigns at the last minute, having lost faith in him for the overwhelmingly negative crowd reactions.
I mean, on the one hand, good that they listened. On the other hand, it took him a while. Did they at least stop the fight before it ended? Like, before they gave him the win? I think that actually would be better at this point. Just, like, coming in and stealing the fight.
He was now receiving. Regardless, if the plan had been to crown Reigns the next face of the company, it had gone disastrously. And unfortunately for...
Okay, considering we're only this far in, I'm assuming something got worse after... Well, really, at this point, he's already earned the ire of the fans. People are booing him. They're cheering the monsters this guy was supposed to beat, as opposed to just blatantly lose to. I don't know how this could get worse at this point.
Roman, this was just the beginning.
What?
Things have gone poorly, but it didn't change the fact that WWE
Why are there ladders?
still needed a face of the company. And having poured millions into marketing, into TV time, into development of Roman Reigns, they were not going to give up on their investment.
Oh no, what'd they do?
WWE in the following year started trying to change the narrative. What if...
Oh, see, I can assume if they did something like the storyline in Japan where the guy was rejected by the fans, went to Mexico, came back as a cool, uncaring persona. If Roman Reigns came back as the guy everyone liked him as, you know, quiet, calm, collected, if he just glared at everyone and didn't say a word, it would be way cooler than that. Let's go with speech. Honestly, I feel like I'm stretching on that one too. When he was talking to people, and it was proof he should remain silent.
If Roman Reigns hadn't been successful, not because the fans didn't want him, but because the evil WWE management had schemed to keep Roman down.
Are they fucking serious? One, this asshole. I don't want to go into the detail on it. Just look up him in recent news and you'll more or less find out exactly why I have a visceral dislike of this man. It rhymes with Weinstein. Let's put it that way and drop it there, because if I go into detail, YouTube will not appreciate it in this video. But in just terms of narrative, that's stupid. Because their issue right now is this narrative they're pushing doesn't match the narrative the audience knows is real. They're trying to say, don't worry, he's great, he's strong, everyone loves him. The reality is, he's strong, yeah, but also he can't sell, he doesn't look believable, and we hate it because we know we're being told to like a guy who can't be likable at this level. So now they're changed, you'd be like, oh, don't worry, everyone hates him because it was secretly me all along. And while he plays a great villain, no, that is so stupid because it just rubs in their face. We're going to lie to you about how you feel. You don't hate him because he's bad at his job and can't actually sell. You hate him because we wanted you to. No, that is, they could switch this on their head and make it that we made him hateable by giving him horrible lines. We forced him to do horrible jobs. We were beating him down and making him take the L. And then just ignore the obvious fact that they were beating him down and making him take the W. Then just ignore that part. Play it off as all the bad acting, all of the bad selling, all of the bad wrestling theatrics were because they were forcing him to do that. I mean, he would then have to become an immediately much better actor to sell it, and admittedly, that would be the entire flaw in that plan. But if magic happened and he randomly became super good at acting, maybe it could work. But this is just, no, it doesn't actually account for him actually still being able to act. Although if it gets him to punch this guy in the face, that'd be nice.
a storyline that involved him feuding with the Ultimate Wrestling
Didn't
bad
they
guy
do that
Triple
before?
H, who is both in storyline and in reality the CEO of the company.
Oh, he actually was?
And honestly,
Oh, shit.
this story failed for the same reason that Suffer and Succotash Roman had failed.
I forgot
It was
about
a
that line.
hollow imitation without any genuine core, this time attempting to emulate the anti-authority appeal of Stone Cold Steve Austin in the Attitude Era. But it could never work. To so many fans, Roman was still this artificial, corporately appointed hero, selected not because he was a great wrestler, but because his mainstream marketability was so high.
Is
And
it
so
though?
attempts to now frame that corporate hero as an underdog battling that same corporation. It was a story as insincere as it was comical. Triple H would brutalize Roman in attacks that felt designed to draw sympathy, but instead the crowd would just howl in delight.
Oh god, they actually got louder every time they saw his head hit. I don't even think that was timed. It just happened to work out that way that they loved it more.
After nearly an entire year, the two met in the main event of that year's WrestleMania, in which WWE did everything they could to make Triple H look like the ultimate authoritarian villain, including entering with a giant skeleton clone army of himself. It didn't matter. This match was fucking painful. Rejected by the crowd from the opening bell, the audience's frustration crippling its momentum over 30 agonizing minutes.
Second row, Roman Reigns caught him on the right.
A match that dragged itself over the finish line with a limp yet inevitable Roman Reigns victory.
Did he miss the leg and Triple H raised his leg to make it look like he was in the pin? I don't know wrestling well, but I think that's...
Line with a limp,
I can honestly not tell.
yet
Oh yeah, because his arm is not even behind it. He's lifting alongside the leg, and Triple H is visibly lifting it for him. I don't think this counts as limp. What's worse than limp? Oh, I know. We've gone full flaccid. Oh god, that's just a bad word in general.
inevitable Roman Reigns.
I'd like to point out, you can even see where he starts moving before this guy finishes raising his leg for him. Also, that's probably not the right sentence to use, but I'll just move on.
Victory. The crowd despised it. WWE had done everything they could to bring Roman to this point, but unfortunately, Roman's momentum would stall yet again, as per the Pro Wrestling Torch, a wellness policy violation would see Roman punished with dropping the title and being suspended for 30 days.
Okay, one, they have wellness policies? I'm assuming it's a scripted one because based on that other guy, their wellness policy is a joke. So I'm assuming this was more a take time off, cool down, hopefully they forget you, and will distract everyone type moment.
WWE would spend the next year desperately trying to re-legitimize Roman in the eyes of the audience, including bestowing upon him the ultimate honor in pro wrestling. Roman Reigns would be the one to retire the Undertaker.
Wait, retire? I heard he kept wrestling for a while after the streak was broken, but it was like more sporadic. Oh, so his final fight was and the Undertaker is really good at helping other people and selling it by not selling himself to look like the ultimate villain, to make himself bigger, so when you finally beat him, it's more of an accomplishment. And Roman is very well known to do the exact same thing, but for the exact wrong reason. But he's really good at being the strongest guy who everyone should try and beat, because when you can beat him, it's an accomplishment, because you're finally allowed to beat him, and he can't sell it, so it never looks like it hurts, except for when he oversells it. Or in that last fight against Triple H, where they had to act like he pinned them, even though his arm wasn't there, and he moved away from the pin while you were still raising your leg to make it look like you were pinned. I don't know wrestling, but even I could see that.
The most respected, worshipped wrestler in the industry, with an incredible 30-year legacy that you can learn about in this video.
It was good. And I'm assuming the crowd is just looking at this going, we know what we're here for, or we didn't know what we were here for. And either way, I hate everything about it, because you know you're here to watch the guy you love get beaten down by the guy you don't.
But what should have been this monumental overcoming of this immortal entity at that year's WrestleMania kind of wasn't. You could see the years of wear in the now 50-year-old Undertaker. The match slow, plodding.
He was 50 years old? Hell, I'm not even close to... 17 years off. No, wait, that's not the right age. I forgot how old I am for a second there. That's embarrassing. But I just... Slow and plodding is still more, because I would have had a heart attack in 5 minutes.
Pace punctuated by botches and mistimings. And when Reigns finally beat Taker, it just feels kind of sad. And God, did fans hate him for it. That hatred following him all the way to next year's WrestleMania.
It gets worse. So not only does he have one fight after the other that he wins and gets hated for every step of the way, but it just, why? Like, they're just, the best way to do it would make him a joke hero, where he's obviously playing into the fact that he can't speak, that he can't argue, that he can't wrestle, and make it funny, but they're trying to make him this serious, tough face, so he can't. I don't even know if they can do joke wrestlers, but that would be the obvious way to fix it. But just at the same time, I don't think anyone can hate him any worse already, so it couldn't hurt. Except for their plans, which it would.
In which he main evented with Brock Lesnar
again.
And my God, the sheer vitriol from the crowd for this entire match. Having now endured their 4th Roman Reigns WrestleMania main event, they turn absolutely nuclear. They chant for CM Punk, who at this point had been out of the company for years.
They were chanting for a guy who doesn't even work there anymore. And didn't that happen after he went on an entire sit-down diatribe with him on the mic? I don't know the details of that. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised Super Eyepatch Wolf hasn't done more about that specific moment yet. But this is actually painful to watch, because it doesn't seem like he's a bad guy. It just seems like every step of the way they have the wrong man at the wrong time, with the wrong narrative, with the wrong managers pushing the wrong way to look at it. It's just like not doing one or two things wrong. It's like choosing the wrong option in every single way possible.
They scream, "You both suck," and it features maybe the only "this is awful" chant I've ever heard.
Admittedly, I'd still say that's probably better than "We Want Refunds." But it's not much better.
Oh my God. And now Lesnar delivering the straight right-handed blows.
2 years later, footage was released from backstage after this match, and you can see the absolute disgust on Brock Lesnar's face as he hurls the title belt at Vince McMahon and walks out of the company.
Out of the company! So this was such an embarrassment, he just quit. I mean, admittedly, he should have thrown it harder to knock Vince McMahon off his chair. I have opinions about him, and I think they're justified at this point.
And I have to say, when I watch back footage from this era, I genuinely feel like I'm watching a man trapped in a nightmare. There's a kind of haunted look in the eyes of Roman Reigns for a lot of his entrances. This faraway glaze, like he can't even believe what's happening. He can't believe that people hate him this much. And that,
I thought that was part of his mystique at first, but then when he puts it like this, it seems less mystique and more, I'm doing this again.
hatred, it only grew more corrosive and specific. All it would take is the...
This feels like he's leading up to something horrible happening to him on a personal level. He doesn't seem like a bad guy, so I really am not looking forward to this.
Camera to linger on Roman for just a couple of seconds at any random WWE event, and the crowd would turn absolutely toxic.
Oh shit, you can actually see the difference there. It's like where he has the little smirk And then as it goes down, the smirk drops off right with the chew. And you see right here where it's like, it's hitting me what's going on, and I hate everything about this. This is very much a I chose this and I chose wrong. Oh. Am I the only one watching this and just feeling pained? I'm not a wrestling guy. I didn't have him shoved in my face so much, but it feels just bad for the guy.
And there were times when you could really see that hatred get to Roman.
And right next to that championship is a huge chip on my shoulder from people telling me I can't. People like these guys right here.
Roman even had to stop.
See, that right there would be a much more interesting persona, because that was not badly done. That was him speaking off the cuff, not playing to the persona. If that was his actual persona, fuck all, y'all, it would have been better. But they wanted him to be nice and marketable. So I'm assuming that would never actually work.
Making his trademark entrance through the crowd because of security concerns, and in one house
because
show,
someone probably tried to shoot him.
A fan even hurled a metal briefcase that struck Roman in the back of the head. And the sad part was, Roman was legitimately improving all the time, developing a wider moveset, showing a greater understanding of the storytelling and psychology that a good match takes.
Okay, that right there, that was actually impressive. It looked like the El Generico clips. Wow, I'm referring to someone much lower time, but also so much better.
Showing a greater understanding of the
He's diving over something. It looks good. He's going in. He's moving down. He didn't stop moving. He's keeping going. He's trying to act like there's pain because how he landed. Also, having done that before, yeah, you can break your wrist doing that. It hurt. But yeah,
that a good match takes, but
too late.
It never seemed to matter. After a legitimately excellent match with AJ Styles at Extreme Rules 2016, Roman's victory.
Oh, see, that actually looked good. They're gonna hate him because at this point it's baked into his persona, and it's too late to change it.
Victory was met with a single freezing chance: "You still suck."
Sit out, power bomb. Yeah, the impact from that and from that backdrop to this.
Roman was a man haunted, trapped between the fictional reality of playing a hero and the actual reality of enduring the hatred of hundreds.
Ah, shit, you can even see his lips just quiver. I don't... this is I can't help but feel for the guy on this one. This is horrible. This is such a failure of PR, because if the guy got better, he's doing his best, but also he's well aware at this point it doesn't matter because he's going to fail because everyone else is sick of the gimmick. So even when it's not a gimmick anymore, he can't win. I hope they did something with him because, just moments like this one, just seeing that there's a way to fake that, but considering the persona he's doing, he wouldn't ever be in a position where he'd have to. So he's probably trying to tamp down on that, while the ref is probably over here going like, oh, fuck. This is actually hard to watch, man.
Hundreds of thousands of people. And unfortunately for Roman, there was a single night where one person would obliterate the divide between those two realities.
Okay, I don't think I can do more tonight. Holy shit, man. Okay, so I was expecting a lot of things going into this. I thought, okay, there's going to be a lot of stupid shit. It's going to be bad. It's going to be embarrassing. There's going to be horrible PR mistakes. I wasn't expecting to watch a grown man just be brought to the edge of tears because his entire life, his entire career is collapsing around him. And while he's probably still being paid amazingly for it, that just is horrible. It feels just wrong to watch something, engage with something that's just a man's life falling apart is what it looks like. The only reason I'm not actually completely out of it is because, again, he's probably being incredibly well paid for this. And if he's not, he probably should have quit at this point or moved to a different wrestling network, because at this point it could not hurt him more than staying. Physically seems to be paining him more than actual pain. And yeah, the clips Super Eyepatch Wolf showed demonstrated Roman Reigns was getting better. He was doing moves. He was being more dynamic. He was selling. He was going with it. He was doing incredible things to keep moving, so it never felt like it stalled out. But it seems like it's just too late. And if it just gets worse from here, because there's a third of the video still, I can't do that tonight. I just can't. It's going to be depressing as fuck. I know it's going to probably hurt to watch it, because it's probably going to have a breaking point, which is exactly where I think we stopped. And I can't. What the fuck, man? I wasn't expecting this to be a sad and just depressing episode, but it really is. It's just watching a man emasculate himself for the job he's getting better at and still knowing will never be good enough. There are horror stories that try to achieve what this man lived through, that level of overwhelming failure. I know my entire view on this is very much because I'm seeing it from his perspective, without having to endure all of the repetitive, forced in your face, blatantly false narrative that would be nothing but frustration on top of arrogance, on top of anger, on top of just sheer incomprehension that no one's going to realize that their plot line is stupid. And that could easily lead to anger at the character, and I get why, but at the same time, it's just, what the fuck, man? Basically what I'm saying is, if you haven't already, there's a link below to Super Eyepatch Wolf's video. Hit it up. And I'll see you guys next week when I figure out what the hell is about to happen that could possibly one-up this, because Super Eyepatch Wolf doesn't usually hit the most depressing point until maybe the next 15 minutes from now. So, yeah, that next video is probably going to get me crying in the corner. Lovely. I'll see you guys for that one. Adios.